All right, come in, you all. Hit that like and hit that share button, but let me get started and say hello, and hey, I definitely have been missing you all on my live stream, just getting my voice together, but definitely to you. Let me cut this off real quick um, and cover some background noise. China exposes America, right? For these luxury brands, luxury items that they're saying, made in America, and that many people think that are $1,000 worth of products, and they're not. So basically, China's spilling the tea on Louis Vuitton, all of these Gucci, um, and it's exposed. So this is the year of definitely exposure. The secret behind these luxury brands and people, the Jordans, the J's, all these things people spend all this money on. And this is why it's so important teaching you all about what's an asset, right? What's the liability, right? What are things that's worth you putting your hundreds, your $1,000 into, things that's going to grow your money, right? And that's why I cover this channel so that, but you know what? Let me show you a TikTok. I want to show you our TikTok video, but let me know what part of the world you are tuning in from. Welcome in, welcome in. I know. Hello to you all as well. You all come on in, hit that like and hit that share button, right? My shirt is all crooked and stuff. And let me know what part of the world you are tuning in from. Also, we're going to break down Nashville, Tennessee, tuning in. Ripple, the CEO, Brad Garland House, did he really confirm that XRP, I've told you all what XLM is, that the Federal Reserve will be using XRP and XLM. Let's break that down. But let's go to this real quick. I want to show you a TikTok video on China exposing the luxury lies. Thank you all. Thank you all from London coming in. Hello. I'm gonna give you all a shout out. Soon as just keep them coming in as we watch this video real quick.
For confusion about where their products are manufactured. They're so confused because Hermes clearly purports that all of their bags are handmade in France and their watches are made in Switzerland. In their verbiage, there is no room for confusion about where their products are manufactured. There's no room for China. But in the beginning of that video, that nice Chinese man is clearly standing in front of what appear to be Hermes bags, saying that these are the bags that we manufacture. I noticed he didn't say Hermes when he called out all the brands like Prada, Louis Vuitton, Coach. But the implication was very clearly there. And if Hermes products, specifically their bags, are made from beginning to end in France, why would their valuation drop with the news that Chinese manufacturers are spilling the tea? It says right here on their website, the vast majority of our products are manufactured in France. And they talk about sourcing cashmere from Mongolia, blah, blah, blah. Absolutely nothing about China. And those purses that man was standing in front of were identical to Hermes bags, correct? So does that mean Hermes is lying to us? At least lying by omission? Or are their bags beginning to end manufactured, designed, whatever, in France? I'm so confused. Because Hermes clearly...
The bags come from China, but the leather comes from Nigeria. The bags are manufactured in China, but the leather, the exotic skins, the snake skin, the alligator, it comes from Kano, Nigeria. Come on in, let's talk about it. Yes, because I love that the Chinese manufacturers are coming on here and asserting that they are producing these luxury bags and luxury goods, but also Black people have a hand in that manufacturing by way of tanneries in Kano, Nigeria. So a tannery is an institution, a business in which you are converting animal products like skins, leather, suede, alligator skins, snake skins, all kinds of exotic skins into textiles so that they can be used for goods, clothing, bags. And Kano, Nigeria is world headquarters for this practice. And they have long since been headquarters for hundreds of years. So I interviewed during the pandemic a man named Winston, and he leads a business out of Kano, Nigeria called Winston Leathers. And they are actually a third generation tannery. So he confirmed that his tannery produces leather goods and exotic skins for brands like LVMH, so Louis Vuitton's portfolio of brands, Ralph Lauren, many other luxury brands. And I interviewed him on Twitter. I'll link to that thread so you can go back and read it. But yeah, he shared that this practice of providing exotic skins to the world, but specifically to China, goes back to the Silk Road, when traders in Mali were providing leather goods up through Morocco and on into Asia. Moroccan leather is known for its quality, and Winston actually shared that Moroccan leather can be traced back to Kano, Nigeria, and it's actually Kano leather. So I love all the conversation that Chinese manufacturers have started around like amplifying that those goods are produced and manufactured in China. I want to go a layer deeper and talk about how Black people are actually contributing to the manufacturing as well, because the leather goods and the exotic skins that make up those bags that they're putting together in China actually started on the continent of Africa, in Nigeria. Okay, let's talk about it. If we're gonna talk about it, let's talk about all of it. And sorry, I'm getting ready. I'm gonna put my brush down to talk about some bags that I love by Black designers. So this beauty is Antelope. This is by a brand called Brother Valet. A Black woman named Aurora James leads that brand. I still wear fur, don't kill me. I read a great New York Times article about how basically fur was phased out when Black women were able to access it in greater numbers. So basically, because Black women could access something that white people felt was exclusive to them, that's when they decided, oh no, vegan leather. And I am not a proponent of, inhumane treatment of animals, but I do love fur, and it is a part of Black.
Hello from China. Let me show you the United States products in my home. Nothing. Do you have something from China in your home?
That one stung.
He went there. I know your FYP has been flooded by Chinese manufacturers giving you the inside scoop on the cost of goods, especially luxury goods. 50% of cameras, 30% of air conditioners and TVs, 25% of washing machines, and 20% of refrigerators in the world is now being produced and assembled in China. China makes half of the world's cement and flat glass, and about a third of its aluminum. It's true what that creator said. Just look around in your house. I'm willing to bet most of your belongings have been made in China. Do I have anything that's made in the US? And if you've been paying attention to Exposed Talk, almost 80% of luxury goods come from China. Slap a luxury label on there and the value goes up 10 times. Factories telling us $30,000 Hermes bags costs $1,500 to make. Your typical store item costs 20 cents. Guys, we picked the wrong fight.
Hello from China.
Well, thank you for that, and I love you so much more. Thank you for that. I love you. Listen. America says we are holding the cars, and China is saying we made the cars that you're holding. For the people that don't understand, as he said, what do China or Chinese people, right, hold in their hand that's made from America, and what do Americans hold in their hands that's made from China? So to make America great again, these tariffs, China's not going to fold, and I don't blame them. Why should they? The United States, I've been saying this over and over again, it depends on the imports of other countries, right? If China just decides to dump United States bonds, which they can, Some says I have something from the US, XPR. Okay, okay, but XPR is a global company. They have a company in San Francisco, but they have other companies set up in headquarters in other global um, countries as well. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let me see if I can pull this up. Many people said, "What do I hold in my hand from America?" You know, nothing. Why did Trump mention these? Because I like for you all to see the article. I can elaborate. Why did Trump mention these cryptos? It's not because particular. He just mentioned the cryptos um, based off the market cap. The top cryptos based off the market cap. So they come out saying that the cryptos golden age, but it was no particular like saying Solana, XRP, and all that. He just said it based off the market cap that it was listed on. So so let me pull up XPR Protons um, company locations. But while I'm pulling that up, I want you all to understand the significance that the headquarters of Proton, Switzerland, Paris, London, San Francisco, um, zero gas fees, on chain identity. But you know what, Americans, you're just going to have to. It did launch in San Francisco. You're going to have to realize that America is dependent on other countries for its importing into America. We're not exporting out of America. We're not manufacturing anything. So now I see someone that says China is known in the comment section. Let's put it up again. Counterfeit goods, Penelope says, are huge in China. Well, these luxury brands and Humeris and $30,000 bags that people are buying that cost under $1,000 to produce. Maybe this will. It's really the marketing behind these things that make people feel like they want to be rich, or that they are rich when they get these Louis Vuitton. And I've gone on record and say it makes no sense to me to buy a Louis Vuitton bag that costs $3,000 to $5,000, and you don't have $300 to $400 to consistently carry in it, right? Uh, Someone says, "Greetings, Queen. Good to see you." I'm glad to be out. So, how will VeChain? How will VeChain, the counterfeit, statement, or authenticate luxury brand using blockchain technology, NFC chips, QR codes, and then IoT sensors? So, this will enable end-to-end products verification from the production to the consumer. So this is how VeChain is going to play a big part of this, and made, in my opinion, also each luxury item like the handbags, the watch, or wine bottles is going to give or have a unique digital ID on the VeChain Victor blockchain, right? Thank you so much for that $2 super chat. And your comment is hopefully more real world assets legislation on VeChange and Ondo. Yes, I can cover Ondo as well. And then you also have other real world assets on LCX and other things. But these items will have physical tagging through VeChains, NFC chips, QR code, RFID tags, which will be made by none than physical silver, RFID chips, physical silvers, and the IoT sensor. This is for temperature, humidity, shock data, especially for wine, the wine that are art. VeChain is going to be big in this. And so the supply chain tracking will happen with VChain through shipping dates, warehouse conditions, um, the delivery confirmations, all through VChain and its network. Now, we cannot forget also about HDC part in this and SDC part in the trade commerce. Now, so if you're a buyer, you can scan using VChain's app or partner apps, for example, for proof of authenticity, access to the product, the materials, the warranty, all of that. Confirm that the item was not tampered with, is not counterfeit. So, whoever said make that counterfeit statement, there you go. Counterfeits, fake items won't have valid blockchain entries. Now, China did not come on record and say that these products are counterfeit. They just told you how very cheap and inexpensive they are to make. And that, hello, Crypto Jake. And yes, smash and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And do not forget to buy crypto suckers. You all don't forget to buy crypto suckers. Thank you for tuning in. I miss you all so much. And so VChain will give that tamper-proof system, luxury items, make sure they are authentic, traceable. So all of this is setting up for XDC VChain, and let's talk about XRP. And did Brad Garlinghouse confirm that FedNow is working with XRP? Now, how will XRP work with this as well? Said look out for Sora as well. Well, again, on-demand liquidity. Let's break that down. What is on-demand liquidity, and why is this important? Well, because now we can just devalue the United States dollar, right? China's saying we're a financial economic powerhouse. We're not going to be bullied by the United States. We don't have to accept your currency for our goods. We hold the cards that you claim that you are holding in your hand, where we make those cards. And we're not going to be bullied. Our people are getting slave wages, and United States and the sales are getting thousands and thousands of profits off things that are quote unquote luxury pricing that is produced very inexpensive. Now, you cannot deny the quality of the production that you get out of Louis Vuitton or Nikes. I've had Nike brands and shirts and things that lasted for years. However, that production being made by the United States when China has led the way for years is very unlikely that the United States can just catch up overnight of a system that China has been systematically doing for years, right? So you all do come in, smash that like button and subscribe. Thank you for being a channel member, and thank you for the super chat. Now let's get into this. I watched this video and I wanted to cover it. This YouTuber has over 80,000 subscribers, and his video is Ripple CEO confirms Federal Reserve using XRP instead of XLM. I've gone on record of telling you all that XLM will be the world reserve currency. XRP will be the global transaction currency, the on-demand liquidity for Ripple for payments that allows financial institutions to use XRP just as a bridge currency to move funds between different fiat currency. That's all it is, right? To convert different fiat currency, to move funds. And again, that's going to further de-dollarize the dollar. Now, not all on-demand liquidity transactions are going to require XRP. It depends on the liquidity, depends on the clarity, and the use case demand. So let's break this down. He's talking about the $27 trillion that's locked up in SWIFT, and he's given the illusion, right, that all of this is going to move onto the XRP ledger. So let's listen to this video, and let me break it down for you where it's going to make sense to you.
At some point, though, you have to go from the US dollar to another currency.
The Federal Reserve's Faster Payments Network is working with Ripple XRP. Yes, that is what Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, just said. And I'm going to show you this entire video right now, because I just showed you a small little piece of it, and he confirmed that Ripple XRP is literally working right here, as you can tell, with the Faster Payments Task Force. Now, this is big because this is created by the Federal Reserve here in the United States. And also, Ripple, a prominent provider of cross-border payments and open source distributed ledger technology, may be included in the fintech companies that the FedNow will utilize. The FedNow also is created by the Federal Reserve. And additionally, Stellar Lumens XLM will also be one of those companies that the FedNow will use.
Okay, I'm going to stop and pause and teach right there what he's reading out. First and foremost, pay attention, right? Pay attention to everything, because people take a little bit and they misinterpret it. First of all, it says Ripple specifically. It does not say XRP. Ripple, right? Ripple is the company. XRP is the product. It is the crypto. Now, it also says Ripple, a prominent provider of cross-border payments and open source distributed ledger technology for financial transaction, may be included. May be included. I've gone on record of telling you all that XRP within itself is not ISO 20002 compliant. However, XRP is not ISO compliant, but RippleNet is. And that was shown on The Simpsons episode 31, season 31, episode 13, the RippleNet and Ripple. So it said may be included among the fintech companies that FedNow will utilize. However, it goes on to say that XLM Stellar Lumens, a base payment network that offers a quicker and more cost-effective executing global payments, might also be among the companies that it will use. So both of these are a might, not a definite yes. However, XPR Proton has gone on record to say, yes, they are already connected. It's not a maybe with XPR Proton. It's already connected with FedNow. So I just want to clarify that for you all and give you the real terminology and the real understanding behind this, right? Do I think XRP will ever get to $100 since? I'm going to break that down. Let's finish watching the rest of this video, and I would definitely go into that.
This right here is huge because 120 organizations are going to take part of this platform, this pilot phase, and big banks around the world will be part of this trial. And it has been confirmed that Ripple and Stellar Lumens XLM will be part of this huge trial by the Federal Reserve, and also Stellar XLM and Ripple XRP were recognized by the IMF. The International Monetary Fund literally highlighted their potential significance in global financial systems. This recognition suggests that they may play a role in facilitating secure and efficient cross-border transactions. And what's really interesting is that XRP, XLM, both have very similar logos to X and Grok. As you can tell, Elon Musk bought X and he rebranded it, and it looks exactly like the XRP logo, and the Grok, the ChatGPT of X, looks like Stellar Lumens XLM. This is not a coincidence. I don't believe that this is a coincidence. And also, Stellar Lumens XLM, its logo was featured on The Economist front page magazine titled "Get Ready for a World Currency." Yes, and this right here is a coin with the Stellar Lumens logo right here with a circle and a line through the middle. It looks exactly like the Stellar Lumens logo. So there are a lot of connections between Ripple, XRP, and the US government. But now I'm going to play you the entire video, yes, because he spoke about the Federal Reserve Faster Payment Task Force, how they're working with Ripple XRP. But listen to the entire video because it gives us a better context of why the Fed is using XRP. Because we know that they're using it, but why are they using it? So listen to Brad Garlinghouse answer that question.
Well, this is why the financial system needs cryptocurrencies like XRP.
First, I'm going to say, I imagine a number of people in here have a PayPal account, and you probably have a Venmo account. You ever tried to move money from Venmo? PayPal owns Venmo, just to be clear. You ever tried to move money from Venmo to PayPal? You can't do it. You have to go Venmo back to your bank and then back to PayPal. The reason I start with that answer is, in a perfect world, what we see an interoperable payments network world of the future, where all payment networks are interoperable. The world we live in today, and I'm using PayPal and Venmo as the example, is highly not interoperable. What you're talking about, the U.S. Fed and the faster payments, that's a domestic clearing. We actually think, yes, that would be fabulous. Actually, Ripple was one of the kind of leads on that task force. At some point, though, you have to go from the U.S. dollar to another currency.
Something as simple as sending money between PayPal and Venmo, you cannot do it. You cannot send money from PayPal, which owns Venmo, literally owns Venmo. You cannot send directly to one another. You have to go through a bank just to send money to them. So that is a simple example of what Ripple is solving, what XRP is solving. And the fact that you can't do that is money between PayPal.
The U.S. Fed and the faster payments, that's a domestic clearing. We actually think, yes, that would be fabulous. Actually, Ripple was one of the kind of leads on that task force. At some point, though, you have to go from the U.S. dollar to another currency.
Something as simple as sending money between PayPal and Venmo, you cannot do it. You cannot send money from PayPal, which owns Venmo, literally owns Venmo. You cannot send directly to one another. You have to go through a bank just to send money to them. So that is a simple example of what Ripple is solving, what XRP is solving. And the fact that you can't do that is crazy. In 2025, right now, you cannot do that. So Ripple XRP is solving all of those challenges, and that is why the Federal Reserve is using it, because it is doing it at a global scale and can handle trillions of transactions every single day. There are many reasons why the Federal Reserve is looking at XRP and XLM. And remember, it's not just the Faster Payments Task Force. XRP is literally working with huge organizations all over the world, from the Digital Dollar Project, the Digital Pound Foundation, the Digital Euro Association, the World Economic Forum, the IMF, the World Bank, ISO 2022, so many CBDC developments around the world, and banks around the world. Like the FedNow system is also using XRP, and trillions of dollars is going to flow into XRP and XLM cryptocurrency, according to Brad Garlinghouse. Yes, 27 trillion. Listen to what he has to say.
How much money is pre-funded and how long does it typically sit there?
There's $27 trillion sitting in these bank-to-bank accounts. They're called Vostro accounts.
Yeah.
The bilateral relationship between the Bank of Corey and the Bank of Brad. You can put as much money as you want with the Bank of Brad.
Same invitation to you. Since it's the holidays, since we've been friends for a long time, you put as much as you want in the Bank of Corey.
Yes, put as much as you want. Brad Garlinghouse, pump the price of XRP as much as you want. Please, make us a lot of money. Brad Garlinghouse, but $27 trillion is sitting idle in banks that's not moving because it's too expensive to move that money. So 27 trillion is a magic number. And right here, as you can tell, Ripple is going after all of that money right here. Now that seems like it's a big number because right here, as you can tell, this is 27 trillion. All of these red squares represents the Nostro Vostro bank accounts.
Okay, so let me break this down. 27 trillion, right? That's, I think, the misconception that a lot of people have, that all of this 27 trillion that's locked up in Vostro's banking account. This means the middleman. Notice that Brad Garlinghouse said that if you want to exchange the currency out of the United States dollar and to convert it into another currency. So that's all ODL means, on demand liquidity, is that you are quickly and fastly converting from one type of dollar into another, right? Foreign exchange, right? On demand liquidity. So most people think all of this 27 trillion just totally going to X out the Vostros accounts, the change of scale, the global transfer, right? SWIFT has what, 5 trillion. All of this is going to go to XRP, because currently XRP market cap is at what, 30 billion now. And they say, Western Union, and they feel like all of this, right? The global transfer market. So let me break this down. And if you can see that the date on this is February of 2018. So the $27 trillion refers to the trap money, or the dormant money, again, in the Vostro accounts for financial institutions that hold global money for international transfers under the current SWIFT system that we're under right now, right? Now, with this being said, RippleNet wants to unlock this capital by replacing the need for these pre-funded accounts. Means that if you want to exchange from the US dollar to the Japanese yen or something like that, or another foreign currency, like this was the Venezuelan dollar, right? Venezuela, that is no longer. If you want from the US dollar to this, currency, that you can do on demand liquidity. This is what people don't understand. XRP is a settlement account, not a store of capital. It's not going to store that 27 trillion. A very small portion of this will be temporarily, I want you to remember this, temporarily routed through XRP during the transfer, just temporarily. So if you are a trader and you're trading in crypto, hey, XRP is a great trade coin for these temporary trades that'll go through, and the temporary pump, and and then it'll go down once the trade or the transaction has been conducted. And so now institutions will not hold trillions of dollars of XRP. They're going to move it in, they're going to move it out during the transaction process. So regulatory constraints, the volatility concerns, liquidity, make this very impractical to park or to store trillions of dollars in XRP directly. They're not explaining this to you the correct way, these YouTubers. So the long-term goal for Ripple is to tap into that global pool of capital, right? And enable, again, the ODL, the on-demand liquidity proof, right? Or on-demand liquidity that will allow real-time use of XRP to move funds globally. Let's look at, even if a few percentage of that 27 trillion was routed through XRP temporarily during the transfers, temporarily, it could impact XRP's utility and demand, of course. But the full 27 trillion won't be moved into XRP. It won't be into XRP account. XRP is going to facilitate movement of XRP is going to be a pipeline, like a pipe moves water through. It's going to be that pipeline, and water represents the liquidity, of course, to quickly move it through there. It's not going to be stored there or parked there. So the amount of movement, portion of liquidity, could have a huge upside potential for adoption for XRP, but not for the capitalization of it. So even if, let's break down a fraction of the 27 trillion Trapped capital is routed through XRP settlement. It won't be permanently held in XRP. It could increase the liquidity demand, of course, the daily volume, and the price. So let's look at this example or this scenario, right? Now, if just 1% of 27 trillion is routed through XRP, so 1%, you all, equals 270 billion a year. Now, if this is routed through the on-demand liquidity XRP, the average time of XRP settlement is 3 to 5 seconds, right? Send me your Gmail. I want to send you some info on XPR. Okay. I will. Trying to think of my business email. Send it to my business email, LD at this is fixed my credit and cash.com. Send it to my business email. So the average settlement time of XRP is 3 to 5 seconds. Now, 270 billion a year is just 1% of 27 trillion. That equals $740 million a day. 7 plus 4 is what? 11. So XRP, if it's each token is used twice a day, the daily required XRP liquidity would then equal 370 million. Now you divide the circulating supply, which is 54 billion XRP, by this, that will mean that XRP price is just 1% of movement of $27 trillion happens in 3 to 5 seconds, will be roughly around $6.85. Right? $6.85. So let's look at this difference scenario. If just 10% of 27 trillion, 10% of 27 trillion, which would be 2.7 trillion a year. Now, this is a lot of on-demand liquidity and institutional adoption that will happen. So that means now the daily liquidity of moving through XRP is going to be $7.4 billion. With a token velocity of 2 needed for liquidity, that would be 3.7 billion. Now you divide again 54 billion XRP, that means that XRP will be approximately $68.50 and not $6.85. So you get where I'm going here. At 1% is $6.85, 10%, $68.50. So it'll take like 100% of volume transaction to even get to $685. 100%. Let's say the full 27 trillion. That means the daily liquidity moving through XRP will be 74 billion. The velocity of 37 billion liquidity needed divided by the 54 billion XRP, that's 685 XRP. Now, these are, in theory, theoretical numbers or figures that I'm presenting to you. No speculation, price bubbles, price suppression, real adoption, regulations, liquidity, all of that. Partner with banks, willingness to adopt XRP. If Ripple ships away from XRP and towards central banks' digital currencies or stable coins, these numbers will actually go downward. It will be less. So from $6 to $68 XRP could be a realistic long-term range only if XRP global settlement becomes the global settlement infrastructure. Only if XRP does that. Now, as of now, XRP, digital asset, that's associated with Ripple and RippleNet, right? Is not. It's actually XPR Proton and Metal blockchain that's a part of the FedNow. Now, this is the concern between FedNow and Ripple to surcharge XRP growth is that how Ripple plans to supercharge XRP growth with FedNow. Ripple do want the collaboration with FedNow, right? That XPR Proton Metallicus already has. However, Ripple has flipped FedNow's privacy concerns into a chance for XRP rise. XRP has yet to soar or sink for predictions and warning. And so controversy surrounds the federal FedNow's new payment system, but Ripple, the blockchain firm behind XRP, seizing opportunities where others see a threat. Now, the privacy concerns is criticism of FedNow. Ripple believes that this instant payment system could revolutionize how money moves to the United States and give XRP a massive boost. However, again, the FedNow's payment system, the blockchain, is saying that they have the privacy concerns of an XPR Proton covers or answers the questions, or is the answer to the privacy portion that the FedNow offering 24/7 instant payments have can concern. So, but Ripple says they see an opportunity. They want to integrate the token into the system. Ripple aims to enhance the speed and security and efficiency. But XPR Proton has already had that security built in to know your customer that they need. So these are the compliance that XPR Proton has already met, and that Metal blockchain enables DeFi, making strides becoming the leading blockchain for traditional finance. Announced the FedNow integration. You all, this was back in 2023. Allow individuals and banks to convert cash to stable coins and vice versa. United States Central Bank's instant payment system. This make Metal blockchain one of the first blockchain networks to be listed, already listed as a FedNow provider, already listed from 2023. Regulations are coming. Compliance will be enforced with signs of traditional financial industry. Listen, not worth 27 trillion, but worth 600 trillion, is getting ready to go on chain and are available. So this is worth more than the Swift 27 trillion, 600 trillion, right? On-chain valuable signs and Metal blockchain may find itself ideally positioned for this. Any blockchain that can capture a fraction of the traditional world of finance will capture billions in values, and dive deep into Metal blockchain. And then it goes into introducing Metal blockchain. When you say you had the information to share with me about XPR Proton and Avalanche, I definitely believe it, because that's, and I'm looking forward to, I'm doing a live stream on that, Ramon, because XPR Avalanche, that is shown on the Simpsons episode, season 31, episode 13. It's shown the Avalanche, it's shown the Flare, and it's shown the XPR Proton and the XDC connection as well. Then we got on-chain with Metal blockchain, and then you got V-chain and all of these things happening in the trade world with China and America trade wars. So again, China exposes the U.S. brand. Let me read this. According to Ripple, Hidden Road currently process approximately 3 trillion. Ripple acquired it for 1.25 billion. That's 3 trillion that will be running on the XRP trails. Thank you. I haven't researched it. Yes, that's the XPR Proton that I am referring to. That's still under a penny. Yes. The twin or the reverse of XRP. Okay. So see if this article was going to come up. China, made in China exposes America. If not, I can read it. Okay, I think my microphone was unmuted. But yes, that's the XPR proton that I'm referring to. Okay, yeah, please look into it. Do your own research, do your own due diligence. So I'm going to close with this. Luxury lines exposed, China out, United States brand, playing the made in America game again. So Chinese social media platforms and social media influence luxury American brands that claim to be made in the USA while quietly mass producing goods in Chinese factories. President Trump threatened to impose 125% tariff on all Chinese imports. However, China isn't staying silent. Online platforms TikTok are now flooded YouTube, right? Videos of Chinese factory workers revealing the origins of the big name items from Michael Kors handbags to Coach purses, even Levi's jeans. If you know the slavery representation of Levi's anyway, right? Do your research on that. And how can I charge $500 for a bag that costs $300 to make here, as one creator pointing to the tags and packing stamp. So it's not that these are counterfeit. They're just made really, really at a low price, right?
Have y'all seen the TikToks that China is putting out about all the secrets on how they're just slapping things on it? Y'all, if you have not seen the TikToks that China is
Okay, give me a second. My internet is doing its thing again.
is putting out about the things that are being manufactured in China and brought over to the United States of America, you should go and check it out. You should go and check it out. Trump, you should have left them alone. You should have left them the fuck alone. This is the fuck around and find out stage. They are through and they are spilling all the beans. Oh my God. Chanel handbags. Chanel handbags. Cosmetics. Skims. Y'all are done. Done.
So again, you want to look into VTime, you want to look into XPR Proton, you want to look into XDC at trade token, you want to look at XLM. Yeah, not financial advice. Do your own research and due diligence. The global currency, and definitely, that's why I've been telling you all these $1,000, 10,000. XRP price prediction is ridiculous. It's not going to get out, and it's only going to be 3 to 5 seconds. Daily transaction, daily volume. I broke down that at 1% XRP would be $6.84. You have to calculate that into the 54 billion tokens at 2 tokens per daily in the millions of volume. And then at 10%, right? If it gets 10% of No Trust Vostros accounts, 27 trillion. We got $68.50 XRP. And then at 100%, even 100% of the 27 trillion, it's a 685 XRP. China is, I haven't been on here. I feel so rusty today. How do I sound? I mean, I'm happy. I just feel so rusty in my live stream because I haven't been consistent. I'm going to pick up on that. Why in the world is Fartcoin up 181%? Who knows? That makes no sense to me. But it is Fartcoin if you're into your meme coins. But we got XCN. That's up 44% as well. You're going to have like Jasmine coins. That's going to show you some things. XCN again, 127% of the week. HDCs up 15%. Jasmine coin. That's going to we got Casper of 25% as well. Pi 23%. That's going to result in this as well as China is exposing things again. SUI, I forget, it's up 16%, right? Against HBAR, XRP is up 11%. I want to buy XPR. I live in Europe and the app of MetalPay does not work in my country. What about Coinbase Wallet? You can get XPR Proton on Coinbase Wallet. Do you have access to Coinbase Wallet? And thank you for tuning in from Europe. Yes, I love it. Been owning HDC and XLM for 3+ years. Fortcoin is going to merge with AI agents that will give it utility. Wow, thank you. Because I'm definitely keeping I thought it was nothing more than just like a meme coin, but we got for the week up 79% on Fortcoin. And let's look at the 83 cents, market cap 838 million, rank number 73. Wow, look at the 24-hour volume, 287 million. And we're talking about XRP for the month is up 182%. We're talking about the XRP price prediction if it moves 740 million a day. Let's see, what did I break down? So if XRP moves 1% of the 27 trillion of Vostros accounts, that would be 740 million a day. And that would price it at $6.84 per XRP. So we got Fortcoin at 83 cents. That's moving 287 million in the last 24 hours. So that's definitely worth looking into. We got Jasmine moving also 224, 760 million market cap. Look, you are under a penny, right? Under 1 penny. XCN 190 million, 624 hours, under a penny as well. For the year, Honest Coin is up almost 1,000% of the year, right? Saving your money, the de-dollarization of the US dollar, in my opinion, again, I'm not a certified financial advisor, is just not smart. Flare is not moving that much now, a very low market cap, but it's going to be big in the future. In my opinion, is also under $1 as well. And then we have BitTensor, $2 billion market cap. That's close to the next Bitcoin, in my opinion, as far as the tokenomics and the burn mechanism and the amount of tokens that's produced. Very similar, anonymous, like Satoshi. Moves 69 million right now. It's $240 as well. And so, these are just cryptos that we're looking at. United States dollar is going to be de-dollarized. VeChain, XRP will play a part in the on-demand liquidity where other countries can get out of the United States dollars and convert into other countries, so they don't have to really trade with the United States. Don't overlook the total value locked on the XRP ledger, as the native token XRP will be constantly, yes, but that money won't be trapped in. It won't be a store of value. It won't be parked there. It's going to be constantly moving that value around. So I agree with that, but it's great if you're trading, but it's not going to be parked and locked there as a store of value. Like Bitcoin is made up to be a store of value. That money is going to be parked and locked and loaded. So that's why we have the RLUSD stablecoin to try to provide some stability on the XRP ledger, because that volatility is going to happen and going to occur. As a result, it won't be a store of value. Crypto, like people are predicting $1,000, $10,000 XRP. No, it won't be that store of value because their liquidity is going to be constantly moving in 3 to 5 seconds and constantly moving out. That value won't be locked in there, right? Best bet is to take a few $1,000s and buy ISO. Well, I mean, if you're talking about buying ISO coins, then then you're talking about not buying XRP because XRP is not ISO compliant. Our ISO means is that it's going to be able to communicate with the messaging system that by November of this year, right? By November of this year, let's see, that all financial institutions, fintechs, and banks, from a global perspective, they are required to be tapped into. But if that's what you're saying that's going to happen, then that would mean that you're not going to purchase XRP, right? Trying to let me pull this up. Okay, I think this video is going to explain it. This is one that just popped up, but I like what I'm hearing already. ISO is the messaging standard. That's all it is. That's all it is. But this, I believe she's going to break this down. Let's listen in.
Technology that's handling the ISO 222 system, all of these global transactions, that is Ripple technology. It actually has nothing to do with the XRP token. So it's not directly correlated. Now, does it mean that if they are handling global transactions, this won't be good for the price of XRP? It is good for the price of XRP, but is not intrinsically linked because they are two separate entities. So that's I'm going to get so much hate for this video, but we're talking about XRP and why a lot of you in the comments saying that XRP handling 10% of all global transactions means that XRP is going to be worth $2,000 to $10,000. That is not how it works. What you need to distinguish is that Ripple and Ripple technology and XRP are two completely different things. Oh my God, what a revelation. The technology that's handling the ISO 222 system, all of these global transactions, that is Ripple technology. It actually has nothing to do with the XRP token. So it's not directly correlated. Now, does it mean that if they are handling global transactions, this won't be good for the price of XRP? It is good for the price of XRP, but is not intrinsically linked because they are two separate entities. So that's
I've been drilling this on my channel. Thank you for tuning in. I'm probably gonna mispronounce this. From is it Guam or Gum? I'm probably mispronouncing it. I know it's in the United States in the Western Pacific Ocean. But thank you for tuning in as well. The island out there, and the what is it? Right, but thank you for tuning in. That's all I'm trying to. Yeah, nailed it. Pretty much nailed it. I mean, she said it. She nailed it. People can believe what they want to believe. Queen Crypto got a good ring to it. Thank you so much. So you're going to send the information on XPR Proton and Avalanche collaboration. Thank you. I will cover that. You all have a great rest of your night, and don't forget, right? To buy crypto, suckers. I love you all. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We are in the fourth industrial revolution. We're moving out of cash, going back to the old. Go to millimoves.com, right? Silver and gold will be used to reset this currency system. However, Silver will give you more of an ROI, return on your investment. We got VeChain, we got luxury brands. China exposing that lies in the United States. So people are going to want to make sure they're not getting counterfeit things, even though they're saying it's cheap things, right? But you got silver's going to play all a part of this RFID chip, cell phone batteries. You got iPhones that can increase in pricing as well as a result. So you want that physical money, that physical silver, in my opinion, not an ETF, right? And these crypto that's going to play a part in these real world assets, right? So will ISO coins all have similar price? No, I don't believe so. And speaking of that, you really should research R3 compliant coins like HDC, Flare, and then HBAR and its technology and real world assets and LCX and the tokenization of real world assets as well. If you don't think Ripple holding all that escrow doesn't want XRP to appreciate in value, you are missing the point. Ripple is not holding all that escrow. You're missing the point. Ripple is not holding that escrow. Right? Holding escrow and money flowing through escrow are two different things. But holding that money in store, but you said Ripple holding that escrow doesn't want XRP to appreciate. You are missing the point. Ripple wants Ripple to appreciate. Ripple IPO, Ripple's private stock, Ripple Net to accredited investors. They don't care about XRP. They're given to retail investors appreciate. Right? Exactly. No, you cannot buy Ripple stock unless you're accredited. That's what they want to appreciate for their accredited institutional investors, not retail investors. All right, you all. I'm signing out. You all enjoy the rest of your night. I'll see you on the next live stream. Queen out. Thank you for tuning in from all parts of the world.